This is Stacy McKibben with the Master Communicator podcast, where CEOs, senior leaders, and C-suite executives share their advice. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best leaders know how to share their ideas concisely and quickly. Let's jump right in. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
All right. Thanks for having me. Sure.
Of
My name is Yakubov, and I am the VP of Marketing at Yubico. Yubico is a hyper-growth hardware security company. So in my role, I do a bit of everything. I'm writing copy, moderating and leading webinars, demand gen, enablement, partnerships, and I also manage a team, which I love.
That's amazing. How long have you been doing that?
So I've been with Yubico now for actually 4 years next Tuesday.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for being on the show. We're looking forward to hearing your insights today.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm curious, just from your perspective, what's the best thing about leading people?
It's got to be the paperwork and the back office components to it, right?
Right. Yes.
So to me, I actually think the best part is getting out of your own head and seeing things that aren't about you, your needs and your wants. I love seeing things from someone else's perspective. I love that saying that everyone you meet is silently going through something you know nothing about. So be kind always. I try to remind myself of that all the time. And just being able to help other people is excellent and part of, what gets me up in the morning.
I love the way you say that, though, that opportunity to get out of your own head, right? And like there is that joy and service that comes from just truly going and giving of yourself in another place, right? That the joy is all there for you. So I appreciate the way that you say that in terms of the reciprocity of what you get out of it in order to from when you give. So I'm curious, I will sometimes hear from other leaders, business would be great if it weren't for that pesky people part. I know how you love all the back office paperwork stuff and all, but I'm curious what you think about something like that.
Yeah, I wish there were twice as many hours in a day sometimes, especially as a new mom. So my son turns a year old in 2 weeks. Thank you. It's been so great working from home through all of this. I know the world is a total dumpster fire and people are sick and there's really awful things going on. But there's also some positivity to look at from all of this, which is just, I get to basically have more maternity leave, right? I'm obviously working a full-time job. And so it's great to be able to see him throughout the day though, which is something I wasn't able to do before. And that means it can get really distracting, which I'm sure a lot of parents are experiencing regardless of the age of their children. I try to be at work when I'm at work and at home when I'm not working. There's just always so much to do and never enough time. But look at it from the perspective of the people depending on you for your feedback, or they need you to review something, or they need your sign off. They're also looking for time with their family and friends. So again, trying to keep things in perspective. There's definitely days where I'm like, if I did not have to have 3 one-on-ones today, what else could I get done?
Exactly. And we have to remind ourselves that the power of the one-on-ones is to do the one-to-many, right? I mean, so that they're empowered to go do however many more things. So I appreciate that perspective again. And I appreciate the work that you're doing to kind of coach yourself through those moments, to think about people through another lens when it'd be easy to just take the way out, they're the problem versus how can I choose to look at them differently?
Yeah.
Right. What change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Something. So if I had a group of leaders in front of you right now, what piece of advice about communication would you give to them?
So I would not consider myself an expert on every aspect of communication. There's definitely some things specific to like my job in marketing where I could give them some advice on that. But there actually is a book that I recommend to everyone specifically when they are wanting to get into management or they're wanting to communicate better, whether it's with their spouse or coworkers, communicating up, communicating down, what have you. And it's by Kim Scott. She wrote a book called Radical Candor. And the tagline for that was how to get what you want by saying what you mean. And so I have it by my bedside, and they also have a podcast. I think they actually just kicked it back off. And that I think has been incredible for helping to guide me. And so I would recommend for people who are looking to better improve their own communication skills to pick up Radical Candor and check it out.
I love that. All right, so then that leads me perfectly to my next question, which is, who else other than you, Miss Alex, what other successful business leaders like yourself should be on the show, right? I mean, not the Kim Scotts and the authors, but the actual people that are out there doing it every day, making it happen. Who else should we have on the show?
So this wonderful, one of my closest friends from when I worked at Intel, Megan Smits. So she is based out of Montreal from Canada, and she just took a new job actually with a VC up there, Diagram Ventures. And she's leading up their ecosystem, connecting founders with other leaders, and whether you're a technical founder or a business founder and you're needing a technical lead. She's incredible. She was actually covered in the media before she even started her career in college, and did something, I don't even remember how many it was. It was like 60 internships or something like that in the span of like 12 weeks. I probably have the numbers wrong. She's probably like, you should know this by now. But she's incredible. Her communication, she's spoken on stage with Intel at CES and all over the world. She did this incubator thing in Italy last year. So I think she's somebody that I always turn to as well. That would be great.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'll certainly seek her out and get her on the show. All right, my final question, magic question, if you will. It's one of my favorites. So as you think about those who've really influenced you, who's been your favorite boss or teacher?
Yeah, favorite boss or teacher. I've had a lot of really awesome bosses. I've had some not so great bosses. It kind of might sound like I'm sucking up right now, but my current boss, so my CMO, Ronnie Manning, he is incredible. We were peers before he took the CMO role at Yubico, and he just has this amazing, incredible calmness to him that, like, I just, it's hard to find somebody who can be that powerful of like representing you in the room with the rest of the C staff, while also keeping everything else calm when things can be so chaotic, especially at a hyper growth company. He also has a PR background, so I think that's probably a lot of it, right? They're trained to manage fire drills.
Crisis management.
Crisis management, yes. So he's been really critical to helping me make some big growth changes over the last couple of years.
Wow, that's amazing. And again, I always remind the audience, the opportunity to reflect on those who have an influence on us is awesome. And then to think about how are we paying that forward in some way, because I feel like that's the greatest gift that we can pay to somebody is that, paying on their lessons to somebody else, right? So I think that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute delight hearing you and listening to some of your insights. I'm curious if somebody wanted to reach out and introduce themselves, how might they go about that?
Probably the easiest way to find me is on Twitter, just at Alex Honig. And the one thing I didn't change now when I got married was my Twitter handle. So that's all right.
Well, we'll go find you out there on Twitter and listen to all the fun things you have to say. But until then, I hope you come back and join us on the show. We'll have another round later this year, and we'll certainly have you back on as a guest.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Well, this is Stacy McKibben with the Master Communicator Podcast. For more ideas and insights, please do go check us out at www.concilioteam.com. And we look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care.